All right. Good morning, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to this update on Storm Talk, Derby Talk, whatever you want to call it. One of the two, right? All right. Several things to cover as we head into this afternoon. Overnight tonight, Derby, Oaks, and Derby all feature active weather for us in different forms. So, as always the case, I'll take you through it step by step, and let's see how it trends. Yeah, what a week it will likely end up being here for us. But you can always comment on social media side and try to ease things. Oh, by the way, I'm Brian Good, in case you forgot. I feel like I have to say my name because some of you are new here. Hello to Ryan on YouTube. Angela, I know you're not new here. Hope you're doing well. Hello to Kentucky Tina. Good morning to you on YouTube as well. Angie is on Facebook. Good morning. And Shada's on Facebook as well. So the early risers are up. It's been a tough morning to get up, right? Because the glow clouds kind of foggy out there. So it's made for a kind of a slower feel to the vibe. And it's a Wednesday, so that adds to it just a bit. But it's another day at the track that we're talking about. We have the Great Steamboat Race, which sadly, as you probably have heard, the Belle of Louisville will not be in the Great Steamboat Race this year. That will have our counterpart backup that will be in the race. The race is still on. It's just the Belle will not be in the race, which is always a bummer. It's happened before, but it's still a bummer when it does happen. Okay, so a lot to cover. Let me show you a live look here at Churchill. You can see kind of that quiet starts. The crew's getting ready for the day, and it does look humid, right? You can see kind of that misty look and the humidity along the knobs. That's Floyd's knobs way in the distance there. Just the way this camera is viewed, you could see them this far away. But what a shot that is in that area. All right, so let's get into, first off, where we stand on the current conditions and how we're going to evolve into the afternoon. We'll start here with temperature. All right, 66 degrees in Louisville right now, 61 into Shelbyville, 50s to the north of Indiana. This is certainly not as warm as what we had yesterday. Still humid, but the front has slipped to the south thanks to that cluster of thunderstorms that came through last night. And there were three different scenarios that would play out with the storms yesterday that I said it was going to be complex to try to explain, especially the storms that pop in that line across Indiana, the storms that pop across central Kentucky, and the blob out of Missouri. How does that all interact? Well, we found out that the storms in Kentucky were enough to really take over much of the instability that was left in central Kentucky. And we had a large cloud shield that was over us in southern Indiana and around Louisville that tapered down the fuel and allowed for a little bit of a lid. So the thunderstorms fell apart just as it came through our area, but were very active on the northern side where they connected to the line. So it's basically all over the place on how this all evolved. Kind of a messy setup. Tonight, a little easier. It's a front that we're tracking, but it does have some problems with it that we'll be tracking here as well. All right, 65 down in Eton. I mentioned so nice. At least warm outside. It's not overly chilly, but here's a look at the rain totals. You can see where the line that formed in Indiana yesterday and connected to that blob out of Missouri. Yeah, pretty hefty amounts. 2 to as much as maybe 3 inches of rainfall. Several flash flood warnings were issued in that zone because of that. And then you had your thunderstorms in central Kentucky that really fired up and produced some heavy rainfall in pockets. They were moving enough to prevent a bigger concern. But then you have the doldrums here of the lack of rainfall into Louisville. Only maybe a quarter of an inch, probably a tenth of an inch is what some of you got. And some of you probably didn't get a drop. So very unusual setup there, but there you go. And it's, if you're like, oh man, I really wanted to have a little bit more rain. I planted grass seed or I started my garden already. Well, don't worry. Don't worry, more is coming. On the severe side of this, we didn't have any tornadoes or anything, but we did have several reports of some wind damage, trees getting knocked down, southern areas of wave country more so than anywhere. And then the hail reports were a little more prevalent in that line that formed around 5 yesterday, right from Jackson into Jennings County. And that continued. But boy, what central Indiana, let me just see if I can zoom this. Hold on. Central Indiana into Ohio. Look at all these damage reports. What a complex of storms. It started this time yesterday. We were tracking it, moving out of the Wabash. That thing just kept going and going and going and going, producing damage. They're surveying to check to see if a spin-up may be involved. But even in Pittsburgh, the wind reached 71 miles per hour at the airport when that line got there. So that lasted all day, but just raking trees down in its path. We were really lucky that that wasn't in our area. That was to our north. So overall, we did fairly well, especially for Louisville, in terms of how this all kind of played out. Here's a look at the satellite and the radar combined. I'll spend some time on the radar in a second. Just want to show you where the fog is. Easy to power, probably pick out roughly around portions of Kentucky all the way into the east. Some of this is already lifting, so it's more of a high overcast, but there will be some low visibility at times in that zone until we steer things up. It's because we're on the cooler side of the front. The cooler air kind of sinked in. Even though it's not cold air, it is cooler over a very wet ground. In that region of Kentucky, so fog easily forms. But we will change things up. This is where your warmer air is, and that's why it's not as cloudy. You've got sunshine in our southern county. So you're on the warmer side of the front, a little more unstable as well. So already showers are reacting to that and generating on the other side of the front. But notice the motion is to the east and northeast. That will be the focal point today. Will be this warm front in the area and its lift that it will have as we head to the north and east. So let me show you just the radar view only, and you can see a few spotty showers down across. Let's zoom in here. We got one downpour just east of Hardinsburg. Looks like it may hold together and move right into Meade County. We'll see how far I can make it after that, but maybe into southern Meade. And then some showers in southern Grayson County. These are not anything severe, but just wanted to point out that we have a few on the radar. A wider view shows the storyline that is, boy, it is complex down the road here because we really have two different spins happening, two different low pressures, one that's located here in St. Louis and one that is developing with big time heavy rain into OKC this morning. Now, here's our warm front that I mentioned that is draped across southern Kentucky. And we've talked for days now that this low pressure is going to grab the front and begin to pull it north. Now, when that happens, a retreating warm front, especially in a southeast angle here of a northwest to southeast direction, can create a spin to these thunderstorms. Now, it all depends, too, on your basis of the clouds. In some cases tonight, especially until sunset, a lot of the bases will be elevated. So I'm not as worried about any type of tornado threat this afternoon into the very early evening hours. But once we get into mid to late evening, there are signs that those bases will try to lower. And that's when the tornado threat will become a little more of a problem for part of the area when the warm front does its retreat. Now, because of the angle, the part that is more at risk for a tornado threat is going to be this section of the front that pulls northeast. So it'll graze by Louisville, but I think if you're west of Louisville, you are certainly more in the zone for that potential for those to spin as that warm front gets lifted to the north and east. Then we'll deal with the front and the next low pressure coming up in the next couple of days. More on that coming up. You can see the fuel hasn't really built up yet. It has down in Texas, but still early in the day. We should see this build up a little more in southern Kentucky to generate at least some scattered thunderstorms that will likely be here in a few hours. Midday, mid-afternoon. I think the track today for Wednesday will feature a little more storm action close by to the region. It's going to be blotchy, not widespread, so that's good. So the track got lucky and fit in between two areas of rain at times yesterday. So it could happen again, but just be ready in case your luck runs out today. And one of those downpours that does impact if you're heading to the track. But again, the severe risk overall is low, just mainly lightning, heavy rain kind of setup that we're talking about. Once we get into tonight, the risk goes up. Speaking of the risk, I'm going to show you the latest from Storm Prediction Center, and they finally got the slight risk out to accompany the idea of what's happening with the warm front. We've been talking about how we were waiting for this upgrade to happen because the data was screaming that this is a retreating warm front scenario in the Ohio Valley. This is what happens here so often. And all we can do is put the alert day out and let you guys know. And the Storm Prediction Center has their outlooks, and they'll catch up. They usually do when they have a moment to look at some of the finer details. But that it looks to be a decent placement based on what I've seen. Maybe a little hair to the east, but I still think it's going to be a Southwest Indiana concern tonight. Notice the enhanced risk down to the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. That's ahead of the Thursday low. Yeah, we'll worry about that later. In fact, tomorrow, the slight risk has been added. Not sure it was. It wasn't originally, but it's back. So it's there. And it's not much of a this is a general thunderstorm type of setup. This doesn't look to be a major outbreak of severe weather, but I do think it's going to be a little more widespread, a little more active on Thursday than we've had all week. So get ready, and it's going to be all linear. Everything's going to be north-south instead of these east-west blobs moving through here and thunderstorms. These fronts, this is north and south will be the orientation of the thunderstorms on Thursday. You'll see on Futurecast in just a second. And then we get into Oaks Day. No severe risk yet, but I do think at least a marginal is going to be needed for the area for Friday. And I don't see one needed for Saturday. I think we'll be too stable. But Friday, I do think may require one. But for Oaks Day, yeah, no, hang tight. Here's a closer look at today's slight risk. And again, it goes up to about Salem, Harrison County area. And again, I would argue that maybe just a hair east of that into the western side of the metro may be fair. But I mean, that's being nitpicky. Don't worry about that. I'm glad it's there because it does signal that the northwest corner of the warm front is what we need to watch. And I fully agree with that. I think that is the area to watch. Now, you could still get some strong storms and some rotation even further along the front here. All right. So I'm not discounting that we're not going to get a tornado warning out of this slight risk area. I'm just saying that is the zone that is more prime. Okay. Enough of that. In fact, let me show you the tornado potential. They actually display that. 5% is the risk on that for the same spots in the slight risk. Very lower end risk, a little more east to have a buffer zone. The buffer zone's good, like that. Damage and wind potential, yeah, sure. You got severe weather, you're going to have damage and wind potential, so that's there. And hail potential, only because these are not going to be lines of storms. These are not what we call the QLCS lines or the squall lines that come through here. This is going to be supercells, fairly small initially. I think they'll grow larger into areas just outside of wave country, but initially they will be supercells. So yeah, the hail potential is certainly going to be there. So, and some large hail too. So we need to watch that too as we head into later on for today and tonight. All right, here is a look at that exclusive model that you guys love, Climate Vision, the Horizon AI. All right, now this is exclusive model to Wave. We're the only station in the entire, not just country, the only station in the entire world that is showing this, and it's based right here, just down the road, here in downtown Louisville, is the headquarters for Climate Vision, and they have created this very high res 2-kilometer weather model that sees way out into all of next week, really, and that's remarkable. Now, there's obviously a risk you need to forecast when you go far out, but it's an interesting trend in technology to see AI try to grab a hold of these events. And the difference between weather models and AI is that weather models, we as humans create them in math formulas. We have to keep going in and adjust the formulas based on how bad they do on the scores and pick out the wins they have and figure out why they won. And those updates happen. The Euro gets updated several times a year, actually. The GFS, I don't think the GFS has had an update in a while. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's rarely updated. Same with the NAM model and the HER. They get some updates, but not as frequent as we would like, just because there's a lot of red tape it takes to get that done. But AI learns from the bad days and tries to correct the scenario to improve it. Now, I know a lot of you say, well, wait a minute, AI is going to replace you all. No, it's not. No, it's not. Because we have something that AI doesn't always grasp correctly, and that is an historical aspect to the climate and the topography of our area. And just adding to the idea that we know in scenarios that stand out what is likely to happen, it works not so much as competition. We help and support what AI technology is doing. So it's a team effort, which is nice, but it's really cool that Climate Vision is allowing us to show that. So what does it show? Well, with a warm front this afternoon, it begins to build up some of these cells, scattered thunderstorms. This is a snapshot about 4:30. Scattering of showers, thunderstorms. It's focused a little more on southern Kentucky, but a few may sneak up again around the track, and then maybe a few more back into the west. But the warm front really doesn't have a huge push until we get until later in the day, which is why the majority of your risk is going to be a little more nocturnal on the severe side. So here we go. I'm going to click, and it's advanced this. And now we see where we're at 7:30 in the evening. Now we're going to start getting these supercells smaller ones that will begin to pop on the radar. And they're in that zone, especially along and west of 65, where there's just enough of a turn and a spin going to allow them to rotate. Now, will they rotate enough to produce tornadoes? We don't know that yet, but we know that they will be rotating, and they're in an environment where they could certainly, especially with the high levels of moisture we have, they could certainly drop down to the tree line at least, and possibly to the ground level. So if you live anywhere west of Louisville right now, I would say Tell City, Jasper, Seymour, Salem, and Corydon, even northern Breckenridge County and Meade County, just to be extra aware of the weather set up tonight. And let's hope that we see something amiss here and it doesn't end up happening. But right now, this has been a trend we've noticed for about 3 days, even 4 days, actually, of this potential for these rotating storms in that southwest corner of Indiana to near the Louisville metro. All right, we advance it one more. Here we go. They quickly move out by 10:30, 11 o'clock. We got a few left over, but here's the thing. It looks like one pops in Louisville, but it's actually a cell that pops and spins a little more to the right into Louisville. And a few more in Indiana spin a little more to the right. That's that rotation because the front is tilting upward. It's kind of just raising up there straight to a north-south look. So some of those cells that will be in Harrison County could actually move backwards in a sense along the front heading toward the Louisville metro. So something we'll be watching, but this will be a late evening event the way it's trending. And this, one of the cells breaks free. Look at that. You can see the image right at the top of the screen there. That's toward Terre Haute, Indiana. But it definitely has one of those supercells that just becomes rogue, does its own thing. That's something to watch for them. But hey, this is how the scenario will play out for later on tonight. And then we'll quiet down into the overnight hours. Okay, I've rambled a lot here. All right, type. Let's see, what's a good number here today? Type 471. 471. 471 if you're good. And let's see. Hello, Brandon. Happy boat race day. Yeah, I used to be on the boat races all the time. I don't know if you guys have been watching way over a while, but Kevin and I used to compete between Bell Cincinnati. I was usually on the Bell Cincinnati. And if you ladies are watching, they're always in the corner of the boat. I forgot your names. I'm sorry. It's been a while. But they were always the party section, and they cracked me up every single year. But we would compete with Kevin on the Bell Louisville and Smack Talk. And it was fun. It was a lot of fun. It's been a while since we've done that. Steamboat race is going to be a challenge if some of those storms do pop and move in. Usually the race ends at about 7:45-ish as when we cross the finish line is what I remember. But usually they don't. They board about 4 o'clock. They start moving at about maybe 4:30 to 5 is when the race really starts to kick off. So it's going to be in a spot where there could be some thunderstorms around, but they will be spotty. So right now I would say the boat race is fine. But we'll take it hour by hour today and give you a heads up if there's a trend the other way. A lot of 471s. 471s. Everyone looks good. Let's see. No questions. Okay. All right. So that gets us through Thursday morning. I got to go a little faster here. All right. Thursday morning. Remember, the system for Thursday is a linear one up and down. It will begin to produce some showers and storms. I don't see much action during the daytime period. A few spotty ones may begin to pop, but the main line still looks like it's going to be later on Thursday that will begin to approach into the late afternoon and then moves in for the afternoon. Now, it is a little faster than what it looked like yesterday, I'll be honest. A little faster. It looked like more like 8 p.m. it would move in. Now it's looking more like 5 to 7 p.m. Similar timing to yesterday, but again, it's linear. A wall of thunderstorms moving in. Some of these could be strong to severe, certainly, capable of damaging winds. I think this is a type of day where we'll have a watch box issued of some sort to cover this. So, unfortunately, Thurby is going to be much more active than probably any of the events have been at Churchill this week, will be Thurby. All right, so we get into Oaks morning. I don't know if you guys are ready for this. Okay, Oaks morning. Spotty showers will be around early in the day. In the afternoon, still some spotty showers, overcast, some peaks of sun here and there. But overall, Oaks Day will be a typical, I think we'll picture for Oaks Day sometimes. Usually we get some spotty showers around. But ponchos, be ready to have the ponchos for Oaks Day. It will be a cool day overall. If we get some sun breaks, we can get in the 70s. If not, we'll stay in the 60s. Here we go with the new low pressure that is causing the problem. Begins to move in. And this is 3 o'clock Oaks afternoon with a line of thunderstorms to our west. And they move in just before the big race at 5:51. Now, again, this is just one model. This is the high-res model. There's no other high-res model that can see Oaks right now, so I can only show you one. But this is what it's indicating for its potential for Oaks afternoon. The global models, which are Euro and GFS, the grid is not 2 kilometer, so it's more it's general green, as you would see. You wouldn't see any thunderstorm enhancement very well, so it's not going to look very detailed. So it's hard to tell if it's a thunderstorm or it's general light rain. This model is trying to say these will be thunderstorms. So yes, we're monitoring this carefully. We're going to see more updates on this today. If we decide that there's going to be an alert day set up for on Friday, we'll make that call. But we need more data for that declaration, but we're getting close. It moves by, but the problem with this last low pressure is then it stalls. And boy, I feel like I have jinxed it by talking about 2018 because showers and thunderstorms will be around. Here's Derby morning, very early before the sun comes up, 3 a.m. Here's Derby midday. I don't see a severe risk here, by the way, just rounds of rain. And here we go for Derby afternoon, just before the big race. Steady rain, moderate at times in the area. Temperature stuck into the 60s, and then I'll just keep playing it out. The low just doesn't go anywhere until sometime, maybe Tuesday of next week. It's a cutoff low, which is what got us in 2018 was a cutoff low. But hey, if there's ever a year it's going to do it again, it's going to be this year. This year's been a year of extreme, so why not? But hey, some global models, by the way, do move the low out and keep it going. They don't stall it like the Horizon model is showing. But the UK Mets, the Icon model, a German model, they do indeed stall it and have a cutoff low. So it's getting support. So I don't think it's something we can ignore. It's not just one model saying this. There are a few now, and it keeps going up on having others join the party. Well, we have flooding potential with the hurricane rain. That's possible. We'll see. Danny, Mother Nature's been out for us since January. I agree. So we'll see. Don't panic yet. Don't panic yet. The blog is where we have a chance to explain all this in a little more detail and give you some context to it. I personally think with a cutoff low, you got to give it time. You really do. It depends on so many other factors. And the signal for a cutoff low has been showing up for this period. I believe it was just about a week before Easter. We first got the hint that a cutoff low was trying to form near Derby, but we didn't know if it was going to be before or right after. And for the longest time, it was trending after into about the middle and latter portion of next week. And then in the past 36 hours, it has been slowing everything down. Everything's been about blocking the weather patterns this season. The wintertime, the spring, everything's been about blocking, which means that storm systems can't move very well east or west. They've become more dramatic with moisture, flooding, stalled fronts like we have with the Ohio River flooding. You get stuck in severe weather. You get stuck in a pattern where it snows every 3 or 4 days like we had this winter. So the blocking pattern is the issue here. And with the pattern showing a strong signal of being blocked during this window, the idea of a cutoff low is likely. We just don't know exactly the placement on it. But right now, there is growing support that will be here. So plan accordingly on that with more ponchos as you head into, what did you say, Tawana? I live in a constant state of panic, Brian. Don't panic, Tawana. Don't panic. Tawana's worried about her outfit, worried about her hair, how things are going to play. I understand, too. I'm worried about my hair. And Kevin, I know for sure, is definitely worried about his hair. All right, so we'll figure it out. We'll take it day by day. Don't panic. But I want to at least give you some of the data because it's awesome that we're able to show this. So big thanks again to Climate Visions for giving us the data trends on that. All right, let me get into the 10-day and see if you have any questions about it. There are the actual numbers that are showing up. Again, you've got your 80s today, 80s tomorrow, maybe 70s, maybe for Oaks. Again, these sun breaks are key on just how warm we get, but we don't drop very much at night. So just still a very humid atmosphere. And then we're going to generate this cutoff low scenario, raise the rain chance up a smidge. We're going slow with it, slow and steady as she goes. Going to go with 40% on Saturday for Derby, 30 on Sunday, and we will likely have to keep going for Monday and Tuesday because I don't think this low is going to be in a hurry to get out of here. So there you go. Is anyone miss snow yet? I do. Sounds nice, doesn't it? Let's see. You guys are all discussing chasing. All right. Yeah. Keep in mind, be careful chasing in our environment here, guys. It's not advised. It's so hard to do, especially tonight will be hard. Yeah, these supercells will be easy to see from a distance, but you will be in the darkness of the night. So I want you guys to be careful. How far can climate vision see out, Adam? 170 hours. Champagne, supercells don't always necessarily mean large tornadoes. You're exactly right. There's not a signal for large tornadoes, by the way, with that setup tonight I showed you with that warm front. It's just the setup for a tornado to develop. Sometimes they can be at EF0, EF1, but I don't want to discount that and downplay it like, just EF0, EF1. If an EF0 still hits your home, it's going to cause damage and it could still hurt you. So we never want to downplay the category potential on any tornado. Of course, the scale of the EF0 and EF1, that's a survey of the damage. That's a damage scale, not so much what the size of the tornado will be. So we don't always know what the sizes will be until after. But I do think at least tornado potential is there. And all I can say for you all is just be safe, be careful. And again, we're going to look at the midday data today. We'll decide if there is a trend that is going to push this even more east or maybe a little more northwest. That is possible. If the warm front, it's all up to the warm front, guys. I don't control the warm front. If it's slower than expected, it may be a West Kentucky issue. If it's a faster movement on the warm front than expected today, it may go all the way toward Indianapolis for the majority of its threat. But those are the things we'll be watching over the coming hours, and we'll let you know if there's any changes as we go along. All right, I have to run, get ready for the midday show. I appreciate y'all watching. You guys are great. I'll be back coming up at 11 a.m., and you may see me again if things start lighting up for a second update. Stay tuned. I'll let you know if that happens. All right, take care, guys. I'll see you on the flip side.